Hi, hello, hope you're in fine voice. One of my students contacted me the other day, sent an email through and said he'd done 100 auditions and hadn't got a single job. And he was feeling despondent and wanted a bit of a pep talk. And he was just not at his wit's end, but felt, hang on a minute, 100 auditions and not a single voiceover job. And this is the advice I gave him. That's a lot of auditions, isn't it? 100 auditions. Imagine that. Imagine the time and the effort that's gone into the preparation of that, reading through the script, making sure you fitted the description and that you clicked with it, trying to understand what the script said, and then doing your first recording, you listen back and you think, that's rubbish, I'm going to do another version. So you record again and you listen back and think, no, that's still not quite right. And this can go on for ages, can't it? So you could end up doing a good half an hour just spending that on a script that may be, or an audition anyway, that may only be 30 seconds or a minute long, or less in some cases, or it could be longer if you're doing an audiobook and something like that. And so in this particular case, my student's case, he'd obviously spent a lot of time and effort. He put a lot of care and attention, a lot of love into those auditions, and he felt quite rightly, these were his babies, his best work, and nothing, not even an email to say thank you very much, but no thank you. And that's the first thing to remember about voiceover auditions and the media. It's a terribly cruel, shark-infested water out there. And by that I mean that they're not doing it deliberately, but they very rarely will send back feedback. And that can be frustrating, but they're not training you. They're not, potential clients are not your coach. They're not trying to point you in the right direction or whatever. Occasionally you might get a positive note from a client who says, hey, love the audition, really, really good, but just not for today. You're just not quite the right fit for our particular gig. In which case, you sort of move on, but at least you've got some sort of affirmation there, which is really good. But anyway, back to my student. So, he'd done all of this work, a lot of hard work over several weeks, and zilch, nothing there at all. And of course, he's quite understandably frustrated by that. But my response to that is, well, kind of take it as a learning curve. And I know that sounds glib and a bit sort of smug, and I don't mean it like that, but every audition that you do, especially when you're starting out, is like training, because you're dealing with real clients who've got real needs, genuine words on the page, genuine jobs that they want filled. They want a voice for a particular job, and you just recording those and sending them off to the clients. That's a part of your learning, really, and it's all free, isn't it? You're doing that unless you're on the pay-to-play site. You could argue, but I'm paying to audition here, but to some extent you are. But leaving that aside for one moment, I think it's very much a case of auditions are really good for honing your skills and you learning your craft. You'll get better not only at performing voiceovers, but you'll get better at editing as well, just getting the sound right, removing that room echo, getting your recording tip-top. And you'll probably notice if you listen back to audition number 3 compared to audition 83 or 93 or whatever, that you've made significant progress. You would have improved. You're going to improve doing that. So auditions are a learning curve, and they're part of your training. It's what everyone does. And I read a blog not that long ago, actually, in which the writer was saying, she was a voiceover artist, and she was saying she'd done 1,000 auditions, and got 22 pieces of work from it. Now, you could say, well, that's not too bad. She got 22 jobs out of that, but she's put in 10 times the amount of work that my student has so far. presumably over a longer time span. But she's obviously invested huge amounts of time and effort to produce 1,000 auditions. And her argument, her line in this blog that really stood out to me was that she said, you can never do too many auditions. You can't. You can't do too many because it's all part of the learning process. And the more you audition, the more chance you have of getting the work. And of course, you're getting better and better as you do it. So try and think of an audition as something, a process you go through, a necessary evil, you could argue, but turn that on its head and say, well, when I do an audition, I'm just doing that audition. That's what I'm concentrating on. I'm giving the most compelling delivery, the most compelling read I can. And do that, record it, edit it. When you're satisfied with it, send it off, and then forget all about it. Don't go back to it and think, oh, they haven't got back to me. Oh, I was so, I would have been perfect for that. Maybe you would, but maybe your voice just wasn't the right fit. Maybe that's what it was. You just weren't the right voice at the right time. But you will be the more of these auditions that you do. So keep slogging on, keep on going, and eventually you will strike gold, and eventually you will win that audition. So keep getting better, keep doing your auditions. The moment you think of an audition as being a mountain to climb or a slog, and you're not enjoying it, well, that's the time to reset and reboot and think, well, why aren't I enjoying it? What's going on here? You've got to enjoy doing it. Don't sound desperate. That's the other thing. I've noticed a lot of people get very desperate. They've done their 50 auditions or 100 auditions or whatever, and the desperation in their voice, please let me have a job, please, will come through. Even though you're not overtly saying that, it will come through. A client will pick up something of, this person is a bit too keen to get the job. They're going over the top or whatever. The desperation will show in your voice. So you've got to approach the audition professionally and as a new piece of work each time. It's got to sound like the first time you've ever seen that script, but also be familiar and be refreshing and compelling. If you can do all of those things, then you're on the right track, and keep going. Okay, well, I hope that really helps you and helps you overcome that sort of that feeling of being down and despondent. It's quite natural. Don't worry about it. We all go through it. It's just one of those things. It goes with the territory of being a voice actor, and you are making progress. Trust me, you are. Okay, well, thanks very much for watching today. I do appreciate it that you're there. Please do subscribe, and if you press the little bell icon as well, then you should get a notification every time I upload a new YouTube video. And any suggestions as well for the next subject, quite happy to listen to you and take those on board. Please put that in the comments section below. All right, thanks very much for watching today. Please do look after your voice, and see you next time.